it's crazy to think about because the Krabers for the last 12 seasons has been the one and done gun, right? I mean, it has been your headshot drop, right? And obviously it's seen a source of complaints for quite some time now, but we have the opportunity to pull back and actually offer some general counterplay to the weapon, and especially when we get to this kind of, tier 2, tier 1 matchups for a lot of these teams, it's definitely so much better to have the opportunity to respawn in comparison to just kind of playing into it. But as y'all can see, with the dropship coming through World's Edge, we're finally making our way into Game 1. So we'll get the opportunity to hopefully see some of the changes that we discuss make their way through here.
For sure. Going to be checking out as Black Hand picks up their drop over in the southeast towards Larder City. And World's Edge just becomes a playground for all of our competitors today.
Meet me here.
Well, just starting to look out here, see what drops maybe have had. Obviously, there's been some slight changes to the lava siphon area. I wonder if we'll get to see some of those sniper towers kind of come into play in just a moment. But AIL, remember they were the first winners of the first game last week. We'll take a look at them here first. Seems like they're already looking for some level of aggression onto this third squad, but they've made their escapes.
Definitely. AIL in a good spot for now, especially given the fact that World's Edge, there's a lot more going on than your storm point that is also in the competitive rotation. So it is going to be a little bit more hectic, but there's also a lot more places to hide and a lot more angles and buildings and rooms that you can hold up in. YFP, we can see they've found exactly that. They found one room they're able to hold up in. Not the best loot off the drop. They've only got one blue shield, and you see their weapons are pretty scrappy at the moment. But flatline R99 on AIL. We are going to be seeing the move in come through, and there's that shield from Newcastle just pushing through, holding this door and making it impossible for AIL on a flank right now. Cheeseburger Joe. Unfortunately, even though that positioning looked like it was incredible, he went down immediately.
Yeah, gonna come up, slide through the back, try to play through what is this Gibby Dome here to get these drops off. Now the Fisticups finally coming up with the turnaround with the Mozambique to find a knock in response there. It's gonna be up to Aida to pull this one off. Last shot finally comes through there on the Red Ranger. Now one last member to pull the job. The R99 shreds their YFP eliminated.
And AIL comes out on top of that. We also have another squad that was taken out off of the screen there. RCO as well, no longer going to be alive today. AIL looks like they do have a little bit of a chance to come back, recollect before the next squad fight, but that next squad fight might be a little bit sooner than they are anticipating.
We take a look, of course, out here towards Fissure. We've got Redeem just a ways, checking this one out. They're running back here tonight.
Level 3.
I can see who they may run off to. They're going to, of course, get is that beacon scan. They're playing with the Watson here tonight, staying consistent with a little bit of the defense we've seen influence from that playoffs. We'll see if they're able to find their way to kind of center zone and set that one up in just a moment.
And jumping over to CCE UCX, unfortunately for them, it looks like they're going to be missing a player here. Crummy did not end up making it off of the dropship there, so we will be seeing a 2v3. However, with this composition of Watson and Caustic, I think there's better set up for a 2-stack than most other squads would be.
I mean, it's something to potentially hold out for the late game, but it can only last for so long. Speaking of 2 squads here, it looks like we've also got CLG playing on the same front. This might be due to maybe some of the changes we've seen recently regarding the servers as well as the UI. So hopefully when we get into some of these next games, we get a little bit more of a competitive integrity as every player gets the opportunity to find their way forward here. And just finally, there we go. I was about to say, we're just going to make some interpretations about the zone. We get to actually see here. This one's going to be pulling more than likely all the way out towards Overlook, this kind of open-esque area, as well as the village out in front here. So most teams going to be having to make a heavy rotation all the way out towards the eastern. You can see that with a lot of squads trying to take advantage of buildings like this, especially this one here for CCE, this major beacon buildings where you get a lot of your information. It may not be safe later, but just for rounds kind of 1 and 2, that's going to be your go-to.
Yeah, and we're going to be watching Illuminate picking up a gold backpack for the Gibby. Trigonometry is going to really benefit from that here. Illuminate now with a Gibby on a gold shield and a gold bag. You couldn't ask for more on an early drop for them. Now, they're going to try to figure out their positioning here. They are a little bit out in the open. There's a squad that is holed up inside of that building there. That is the 2-stack, the Watson and the Caustic. It looks like they, unfortunately, all that utility is only going to be good for so much when the team that's rushing at you is full stacked on purple and gold shields. Looks like they're not going to commit, though, because committing to that fight right now, even though they can easily take the Watson and the Caustic, they got to worry about the other teams that are opening fire on them at the moment. And just trying to get out of that situation is, I think this is the right call.
Yeah, we've already seen quite a few squads fall as early as it stands right now. And you know for a fact that this is a major area, but it looks like more notably they actually had the vault key available and within play here, so they're going to take that opportunity to get a little bit more loot up. I know it's not as spicy as seeing something like the IMC armories on Point, but it's still definitely some legendary loot there for Illuminate. Take some time to play a little bit of this choke, but you can see shots already ringing through here.
Definitely. Illuminate is, they're under fire a little bit, but I think they're going to be able to get out of here. They're in a good enough position with this cave, and I believe that the squad that is going to come in and put pressure on them just going to also be feeling that same pressure from the third parties out on the other side.
Ooh. Now this is the fight we've been waiting for. Luminosity versus Blackhand set up here in Lava City. You can already see the Luminosity's been pressured back. Great missile thing. But just as I say that, Measle with the drop, that spinny, it just slaps. They're going to run forward. Luminosity has to name down the utilization of the defense. Still shooting the ball. Yatso's the only one left alive to defend, and he is out of here.
So much just happened in such a small amount of time, but there it is. Blackhand, the current leaders of the Summer Champs, taken out immediately by Luminosity Gaming. And that is kind of what we were all expecting, but at the same time, we didn't want to say it, that, Blackhand was going to be meeting a little bit of their maker. I mean, remember, Luminosity, 5th place overall at the World Series, ALGS in Stockholm. God. And, man, they are proving that to us tonight here over in the City of Lava.
I don't think a lot of people truly understand. I mean, obviously we say this, Luminosity, Stockholm, 5th. There is a massive gap in terms of skill level, just statistically looking at the squad going into tonight. I mean, yes, you have the handful of Pro League squads like Renegades, Lazarus, who are competing here, Nightmare, right? But at the same time, this is a squad who has competed against the best of the best, not just regionally in North America, but quite literally in the world here. And they were able to top the margin in 5th. I mean, that is insane. And they're sitting here in Nerd Street right now, and you can see already that they have destroyed our first place consistent team, Blackhand. I don't know what to say regarding what that fares for the rest of this lobby. I mean, you sit down, you take out the best.
Look how they massacred my boy there. And here's the thing too, is that right now we're gonna be watching just outside of Fragment, Luminosity all the way on the other side of the map, just moving in. As they move in with the zone, they're pretty much going to be the zone here. We're also gonna be seeing CCE picking up a little bit. Oh, sorry, that's AIL here. 2 former members of CCE, well, Cheeseburger Joe, picking up a clean squad finish at the moment. And yeah, this is just showing this area outside of Fragment, it's heating up quite a bit. The zone is now edging in this area. We're gonna be seeing a lot more squads come into an already really busy area.
Right. I mean, you talk about these chokes explicitly for a lot of these squads that still have to make their way through from the south. That's something that we just kind of got the pleasure to see AIL take advantage of there in what was their fight, kind of blockading that one from Optimal Ambition. And they're going to keep their hand on that for the time being. But it looks like there's really only one squad to their south, Luminosity, and they may be opting to take the tunnel itself. Notice Nightmare completely all the way out there towards the very, very edge of Geyser. The only other one. Oh, just as I say that, they take to the skies here with the utilization of that redeploy, and they're going to be on their way towards Zone 3 here. So that really only leaves Luminosity. So they'll probably meet up with CLG here in a moment. And I know for a fact 3v2 against these guys likely to not fare well.
And also up in the north, we see Redeem just now making it into the zone, and they are going to be up against some competition as well. They're moving into the position that Lazarus is currently holding, and that might lead into a little bit more of a predicament than the mini-map would lead us to believe. But let's check out Nightmare here. Nightmare currently sitting on a good high ground at the point in Overlook that you really want to be in. It's pretty central for this circle, and this segment of the map that Ronnie is holding out just gives them a lot of angles to watch out for, making sure no one's going to come in from the flank, making sure no one is going to be aggressing the other squads, and if someone does aggress the other squads, they know exactly when they can third party just using this bird's eye view here.
Making contact with enemy.
We check in back down here with Luminosity. They're taking their time to utilize that replicator, set themselves up in preparation for what will be their take through the tunnel here. I was curious to see if he was crafting what was a weapon there. It's very rare that you pick yourself up what is the white, but might have been the shield. You can see Anya already sitting on that red Evo, which I want to make clear is very difficult to do in comparison to Stormpoint. Obviously, Stormpoint, they provide what is the Prowler Spiders and now the IMC Armory to net yourself what is enough Evo, to put yourself into that position. World's Edge, it's definitely a lot harder. You have to take more direct fights to get the damage warranted for Red Evo. So the fact that Lumosity is already sitting on that Rihanna is insane to me. It just goes to show me already how dominant. I mean, look at all these other squads. They are not even close to that. That's something you see, final moments, zones kind of 4-5 come into play.
It's a lot to take in. I mean, as soon as you say that, we cut to LTK, who is just sitting on 3 blue shields. So, I mean, yeah, it really does prove the difference between Stormpoint and World's Edge. So, checking out Luminosity as they start to make their move in. Looks like they are just taking their sweet time. They know that they don't have a lot to worry about.
Oh, well, right now, obviously, the zone will be pulling a little bit more north, but for them, they're not in any major move. They obviously have what is the secured rotation with the Valkyrie at any given point for kind of a deeper hold, and just kind of playing edge is where this team nets a lot of the kills that garners them the points that they win with usually, right? And now they don't particularly know that they're kind of the last one to the party here, but still being in that position for them is usually a lot more safety. But definitely very interested to see how they do make their rotation in here. Speaking of rotations, Lazarus finally kind of taking towards the rocks out here towards the north. Not directly within that village just yet, but still a very good kind of high ground position to play. As you can see, they're already trying to take some of these beams here, lay that damage down. And noticeably, with Sun Win here, typically on that dexterity roster. I wonder if, obviously, trying to do my best regarding some roster changes. Might be a particular fill, but for Sun Win to play alongside Lazarus, it's definitely something to take into account.
Lots and lots of good shots coming through here, but Lazarus not hard committing just yet. Definitely just going for a lot more poking and prodding. Jumping down here, Luminosity now taking hold and Overlook exactly where we saw the other squads before. That prime position. Now we've got 2 members of the team on those red Evos. Yanya just flying around and trying to figure out where these shots are going to come through. There is one finishing off one of their prey with a longbow, just sitting up top like an eagle. We are going to find a few more squads in this area, just hiding now, knowing that Luminosity is in. Here's AIL. We do see Newcastle in play here. Newcastle taking a bit of damage, is able to heal off for just a moment behind that shield. Come through, CCE UCX goes down.
The double defense available there is definitely something you have to take into account, but already you see Newcastle down on the movement into that truck there. And that's the last person you want down in the face of a composition like that.
Exactly. Contested going to come in here and live up to their name as they contest this area. CCE went down immediately as that truck was getting aggressed, and Contested wants to come in for the third party. Luckily, though, it does look like AIL is going to be able to get out scot-free here. We see Contested moving back into this tunnel and Overlook, and that allows them to just try to secure this area for just a little bit, but they've got no defense. As soon as AIL gets all the way back up to full health, if they decide to charge that, it could be all over for them.
Man, that is interesting. The case of the castle wall, already sitting on what was almost 50% there. We just saw it utilized in the defense of that truck. So the fact that that's still in play, definitely a sight to behold. Now we get the opportunity to see exactly where Nightmare had ended up. They were sitting on the pillars that we saw Luminosity, just a moment. They lost Dresev kind of going into that one, and as a result had to pull back, play more directly into that kind of cylinder, circular tiered cake building. Still alive and still within play when we talk about round 5 here for this zone. I'm curious if this one is going to continue pulling maybe out towards that direction, or maybe more towards the village here where there's a lot more open space.
For sure. We're going to check out Lazarus here. G7 Dank just figuring out, where the next move is. We see Sungmin as well, just leading this charge here. Valk Missile's not going to quite connect, but Sungwin is getting ready for this push. They see the other squad as well, wanting to aggress on the same building, and the shots are going to go out, but again, neither team wants to commit at this such busy area.
There's no need. I mean, I will say that is quite the area to put yourself in terms of the sniper tower. I mean, you are someone that's going to be eyed for the rest of this tournament here. I mean, but still, they make good with it. For Redeem, it looks like they kind of slipped through what was the east there and now set them up with their Watson to try to last. And it looks like that squad that everyone was shooting at is in fact AIL here. And you can see them pulling away to the other side of the rock as Renegades slide kind of up through where you have this zip line in play. And they're still keeping good watch over there, but they don't have the dramatic irony that we do to see that AIL has made their way around the bend.
Yeah, but as we see the circle now finalizing its closure over Overlook, it's the teams that took up the spires and those eagle-eyed areas that are going to be in a significant advantage here. Lazarus sits on the edge of the circle up against this house, and man, this is a hot market for this exact property right now. Lazarus waiting to find the right moment to push in here. We see all three members geared up in different areas. Look at the communication just coming through right now as Sungwin clears the corners, knowing that they can take out that caustic barrel at any moment, but not doing it so they remain anonymous in their push. Although as the circle closes, they're slowly running out of time.
Yeah.
The hand will be forced.
They might be able to play maybe a little bit more for this reason, but at a certain point they just have to make the moves. And right there you see the quick rotation out. Someone's going to take the brunt of that damage, just barely not cracked, sitting on 1 health left on the shield. Going to take a second, potentially look for that battery for just a moment, able to find their way towards that second floor, and this will give them a little bit of respite to at least last, kind of survive here as we talk about round 5. But even still, just Bird dropped almost potentially there on the way out from that roof. Meanwhile, back towards our pillars here, Luminosity down a trade. It's now Renegade who sits on top. They're utilizing that Gibraltar's dome to stay healthy for now, but that's officially down, and you can see Madness already taken low.
Exactly. Renegades, they have the high ground, but there's a reason Luminosity decided to not sit up there, and that is because as this circle starts to close down even more, all of those teams that are holding on to longbows at the moment are going to be using them. We do see Renegades, though. Madness dropping down to the same level here.
Mastiff.
Actually using the Lobo ult to take a few shots for him. Well, it looks like that actually helped out with the survivability, but as LG commits to this push here, we will see NMEs go down here. What is this? Is Renegades sitting up with a man advantage at the moment? Lots and lots of damage coming through. Madness does get his shield evoed here through the fence. Lots of damage coming through. But the res is going to come out. Gibby broken, now broken, and one more member of LG will go down. Here's Yuji, and there's LG. They go down to Renegades. The positioning just superior here. That is not how I expected to go, but Renegades, they do have a little bit of a predicament coming through. It's Nightmare, Bursty, and Ronnie here. They did lose one member of their team. That is going to be their Gibraltar as Dracev completely down and out of the count. No respawn coming through for him. So this 2-stack of Nightmare trying to figure out how they take out the team that just took out LG.
Meanwhile, we pull kind of back out towards some of these squads, still playing their way into the close of this zone here. Lazarus were just successful in a take of their own. Looks like Redeemer's suffering as well. They don't really have a moment to think about this. They just have to find their way in. for them, they're going to be able to get the dome down on the very outskirts of this building, hopefully get G7 Dank back into a position of health. They might have to use that defensive bombardment on most of those major buildings outside. This will give them the opportunity to put themselves potentially in the source of some KP. Sully down.
Lots of downs, lots of shields being broken right now. And there we go. We get a lot of finishers. Valk is fun. Now going to be out of the count. 6 squads left. We are in the last circle at the moment. And I am just surprised that there are this many squads. But at the same time, I'm not. This is how it goes. Lazarus will take a few hits here. We see the team sitting just above them, just utilizing their position as much as they can. The grenades, the utility to solo out Sung Win. Sung does manage to get his shield back up. A good break coming up from GS Bird. That PK doing its damage through the railings. Now that is going to buy them a little bit of time, and that time they will need. Yoroi FPS on top of that door, just trying to figure out where that shot is going to come through. Free.
I gotta say, I'm very interested regarding the position of Renegades right now. We talk about that zone pull. It is out towards that area regarding the just kind of general balcony, not particularly these buildings that we've seen squads, you know, like Lazarus, like Rent Free set themselves up in for quite some time now. So, well, yes, they're kind of going toe-to-toe. You can see Lazarus potentially on their last legs here. They've still got to compete against the likes of Renegades in just a moment. Meanwhile, Lazarus, one member down. It's the gas that drops GS Bird. Meanwhile, Yorick with the wingman onto Sun Wind. That'll leave just one member left alive. Meanwhile, Rent Free taking advantage of their rooftop position here to pump as much damage down as they can in all directions here, as yes, that zone is a closing.
But here's CLG coming up to put on even more pressure. Illuminate will go down just on the other side of this fight, but on this house, now we have Rent Free, and we've got CLG pushing in. Lazarus trying to find their way off and find their way to a position that will allow them to survive at least a little bit more. They've got a minute and 20 seconds before this circle finally finishes, but it'll be a lot sooner as this circle pushes Rent Free over the edge of the roof, giving way to their lack of support and cover. Right. This is going to be nuts. They're going to have to jump down and take in this fight right here. Rent Free does manage to take out Lazarus, but they still have CLG to worry about. He was last seen inside the house. We see their outlines just in the bottom there, and Renegades going to be doing the damage from the top. Renegades having this
is Renegades. This is totally Renegades win. There's no one, there's not a full 3-man left alive here anymore. At this point, you've just got enemy down there, and look at the shield health that they have. It does not compare to Triple Red Evo. CLG, last member, Nano, picked off in the fray here. They're waiting for the stairwell for these rats to climb up to take care of business, Hardy.
Exactly. It's just down to this here. Rent Free has gone down, and they were the only ones that stood a chance, and now it's just going to be the last two members of Nightmare who've been ratting here forever, and it's just Renegades coming through. One headshot, a Gibby headshot in midair to finish it off. What great positioning, but did we expect anything less from Renegades after they took out Luminosity? If Luminosity had won that fight, sure, maybe there would be an extra little bit for the other team pushing in, but once we saw Renegades take out Luminosity, we knew that it was going to end on this screen right here with Renegades taking the first map here on World's Edge.
Right. I think you bring up the prime point there. We knew for a fact that that was the most contested area that was going to play well into the late game, whether it pulled towards the village or whether it went exactly where we saw it regarding our zone finish. So for Renegades to kind of pull that trigger when necessary was fantastic. And here's the thing, Lumosity was the squad that rushed into them. Renegades had to play defense up against the back of the silo, the back of the zone, to try to come out on top of that one, and they were successfully able to do that. Luminosity, we know them for their hard aggression. This is a squad that loves to take any standard 3v3 and just ego check you at any limit there, and they were not able to do so. Kind of came into that one maybe a little too hot, and as a result gave away what was that god spot in the end.
I just want to point out, when they were fighting around that little spire, I'm Madness threw down the Loba ult and used it as if it were a defensive shield. And that little tiny thing that saved them just turned the fight so awesome.
Yeah, fantastic Caesar. So, of course, Renegades being your winners of Game 1 there. That is a fantastic start to a day, and obviously there's still plenty more to